Just need to adjust this a little bit.
Yeah, that is a cool sound. Reverb, at least it's.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
It's not reaching.
The City of Seaside City Council and the Success Agency to the Redevelopment Agency of the City of Seaside, regular 5 p.m. meeting on Thursday, August 1st, 2024 in City Hall Council Chambers will come to order. Item number 2 is roll call.
Council and Agency Member Miller.
Here.
Council and Agency Member Burks.
Here.
Council and Agency Member Garcia Arizola. Mayor Pro Tem and Vice Chair Pacheco.
Here.
Mayor and Chair Oglesby. You do have a quorum.
Thank you. Next we go to item number 3, which is invocation pledge of allegiance. We will have a moment of silence, and then I would ask the Assistant City Manager, Jose Bazula, to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next we go to item number 4 is review of the agenda. Assistant City Manager, is there anything to add to the agenda?
No items to add, Mayor?
Thank you. I do anticipate a recess around the 7:30 p.m. hour. Item number 5 is public comment. Members of the public wishing to address the City Council on matters underneath the jurisdiction of the City of Seaside, but not on this agenda, may do so during public comment for up to 3 minutes. This is the time to also comment on presentation items. You have 3 minutes there also. If you want to comment on agendized items, please wait till they're called. You'll have 3 minutes at that time also. Public comment is open. It will be helpful if you state your name.
Members of the public in the chamber, please approach the podium. Members of the public on Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature or dial *9 if you're calling from a phone.
Hi, Council and Mayor and audience. My name is Linda Cunningham. I'm a member of the Homeless Committee, but I'm here speaking as a citizen of Seaside. And first, I wanted to say the new signs on the door. I mean, it looks good. It turned out really good. Great job, whoever worked on the font. It just looks really nice. I saw in the weekly, or maybe it's called Monterey County now, that the city of that Sand City has sent Seaside a letter asking for our cooperation and collaboration on an effort to build the bike and pedestrian trail along the Transportation Agency of Monterey County's rail corridor in both cities. It's going to fill this gap that's missing. It sounded like Seaside's got about a block of this. They've got $2 million. I just wanted to say I support the city of Seaside collaborating and cooperating with the city of Seaside to expand the rec trail and bring that through Seaside so people on the rec trail will come and visit our businesses. And that was it for tonight. Thank you very much.
Alvin Edwards, resident of Seaside. I just come down here to tell you that you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. This past year or past 6 months has been rough for the council. I know it. I've been following it, watching it on Zoom, and I know it's election time. Coming up, people trying to get their paper signed. And I don't know who out there is running yet, but I know the three up here, one is missing, has been doing a good job for the city of Seaside. A good job. Even if with our Monterey One water bills, I'm proud of that young man. He's not here for stepping up to the plate and sitting up there saying, not for my city. I know it's hard that the rest of the county is getting together and say, well, it's good for mine. Well, those citizens not down there talking. I heard a citizen last week on Zoom talking about the school board, school bonds, property tax. Hey, too much is going on our property tax. I support the schools, but I cannot keep supporting adding stuff to my property tax. I'm for one that's saying it. I don't even want utility bills on my property tax. So if you voted that down, I hope you keep it down. I like what the city is doing on Broadway, and I like how you're moving forward. I know you got another tough decision to make tonight by bringing our old city manager back. I'm not going to talk on that, but I won't give him my support right now because you want me to hang around and talk on that one. But he has my support. I support the mayor for another 2 years. I support Dave Pacheco for another 4 years. They've been doing a good job. This gentleman here, I want to give him my support. I want to give him my support because he made a tough decision that I was proud that he made. I used to think he couldn't make them, but he did that one. So the last 54 seconds, thank you. Thank you for your hard work, Mayor. Thank you for your hard work, Mayor, Vice Tim, and the rest of the council. You're doing a good job. Keep moving this city along. Keep moving us forward. Now, I want to see something happen out Fort Ord on that golf course. All right. Thank you.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor, City Attorney. I want to do a kudos to our animal, I don't know what the title is, I'm going to say animal control. Alex has done a phenomenal job. And just on my street alone, we had a person that had a cat that she refused to have fixed. And we had probably 8 different litters. We had kittens running all over the place. And I made a call to him. He spoke with the actual owner of the cat. They were able to trap her, have her spayed. He trapped, of the 15 kittens he saw, he trapped 9 of them. They've all been fixed. Unfortunately, they have to be re-released in the same neighborhood because they're too feral to be going to their forever home. But the minute I made the phone call, he was right on it. It took him about a week and a half, and he's still looking for some of the other kittens. Hopefully they'll catch them and be able to have them fixed as well. But I called him today because I had some cat food that was donated to me. And I made a phone call and we met, and he's got lots of cat food to feed feral cats trying to trap them, and also when he has to keep them in the station. But I wanted to put it out too that if people have cat food in cans or dog food, he can always use it, because when he picks up an animal and he has to keep it in the pen or whatever, he needs to feed it. And I don't think he should be using his own money to feed animals that he picks up. So I just wanted to give him a kudos because he is awesome, and hopefully he will stay here and not go anywhere else. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Constance Constable, resident of Seaside, and I want to thank the City Council and the Parks and Rec Department for putting in the 4 dedicated pickleball courts. And we've been enjoying them for the past week. They're wonderful. Really, really appreciate the progress that's been made. And I want to thank you for the time you gave one Saturday when, you know, we entertained possibilities of courts here and courts here and courts around town. And I'm really glad that this happened at Wheeler. Thank you very much.
Members of the public in the chamber, please approach the podium. Members of the public on Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature or dial *9 if you're calling from a phone.
Good evening, Mayor Oglesby, City Council members, and city staff. My name is Jonathan Amati, and as you may remember from last week, when I announced my campaign, I am running to represent Seaside on the airport board. I'm running because I feel my experience I can put to good use in service of this community. I'm here tonight to share a little bit of my background with all of you. People often ask about my ethnicity. My mom is Irish, German, and Welsh, grew up in a suburb of Detroit, and my dad is an immigrant to this country from Iran. Makes me a bit of an American mutt. I've lived my whole life in California. I was born and raised in San Jose. I moved to Los Angeles for college and bought a house in Seaside with my wife, Ashley, 2.5 years ago, so we could be closer to family. I currently work as a project manager in the field of healthcare construction industry, but I've also worked in the fields of research and entertainment. I've made bagels and sandwiches, I've bussed tables, and I've dug trenches as a day laborer. I share all of that because I never thought that I would pursue public service. But 2016 and the election of Donald Trump changed everything for me, like it did for so many people. See, I'm someone who was always curious about politics. I would watch The Daily Show every night. I'd read the news. I thought it was enough to be an informed voter. Never imagined he would win, but he did. And that was the moment that I knew I had to do something to make my voice and my values heard. As I said, my dad is an immigrant to this country. I went to public schools my whole life. This country has given so many opportunities to me and my family. I'm the product of the American dream. So in 2018, when we had a chance to take back the House, I quit my job. I found a congressional campaign that was trying to flip a red seat blue, and I've been finding ways to volunteer and serve my community ever since. I've served as the vice president of a board for a nonprofit dedicated to helping veterans. I formed a citizens committee to draw district maps that communities of color could have fair representation. I volunteered on task forces related to homelessness and suicide prevention. With regards to the airport board, I know how to do this job, and I want to put my knowledge and experience to work for you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my story. I will be back here another time to talk more about the airport and the specific issues that I want to work on, should you elect me as your representative. You can go on my website for more information, amadifortheairport.com. That's AHMADI for the airport.com. Thank you and have a good night.
Yes, hello, good evening. My name is Michael. I currently live in Seaside, and I was just wanting to make a complaint, essentially, more so a noise complaint about Deja Blue. That essentially that I would just like to see any sort of opportunity of a process that could be made to make it so that my household could be having the opportunity to sleep better, since during Fridays and Saturday nights that they have basically that it's like a lot of noise, even through for example, like a 32 decibel earplugs that I've used, and I still hear a bit of, like, for example, like the bass and what they produce. So essentially it's to that, and I would just like to request an opportunity to see what I could do about it. Thank you.
Peter Kaiser, you now have the floor to make your public comment.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. This is Pete Kaiser. Yes, I'm a citizen of Seaside and I have some comments. I know a good connection in the beginning, so if there was not in here, so Lord, be glorified. We thank you for your sacrifice on the cross that we be given and be allowed governance our lives over and surrender to you, Lord Jesus. Help us to be forgiven for our many sins. Help us to love our enemies and forgive them and forgive others. And thank you for your guidance and allowing us to
Mayor, it seems that Mr. Kaiser his call is dropped from Zoom.
Okay, public comment remains open.
Mayor, City Council, Acting City Manager, Joe Cubbage, resident of City of Seaside. And I really just wanted to talk about a situation that took place a couple weeks ago at a Blues in the Park event, where I saw Dave Pacheco and others in the community. And it was just a really wonderful event. And I had a really nice time being there. However, I took notice that one of the city employees had confronted me rather aggressively and asked me to stop recording the venue. And he threatened to have law enforcement eject me from the park that day. And he was rather confrontational and aggressive. And I just, as the artist who was on stage at the moment, as his song said, just let it roll. So I just let it roll. And I'm not going to name the individual now because I actually like him. I think he had a bad day. But I think that the bad day that both he had and I had was as a result of his lack of knowledge of the laws in the city of Seaside. And in particular, at a venue that's being promoted to the public and being sponsored by the city. So I think this is an opportunity to, number one, thank the Seaside Police Department. I don't recall the officers that were there who witnessed the incident, but they did the right thing and they informed the city of Seaside's employee that in fact he was in the wrong and I was in the right. It was all recorded. And I had a follow-up conversation with the officers after the event happened while it's still fresh in their minds. And so I just want to thank the Seaside Police Department for doing the right thing and informing that city employee that he was in the wrong. And this is an opportunity for the city to educate all of their staff members on what the rights are for our community members, people like me, so I can go to the park and film my community members enjoying a nice day at the park without being accosted. And if there's anybody here who thinks that I did not have the right to film in the park on that day, I'd like to hear it now. Thank you for your time.
Members of the public in the chamber, please approach the podium. Members of the public on Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature or dial *9 if you're calling from a phone. Mayor, no other members of the public have come forward to make public comment.
Thank you. Public comment is closed. City Manager, did you hear anything, questions, issues, or concerns you can speak to at this time?
Yes, I do, Mayor. The first one, if Michael, who had a challenge for Deja Blue, we'll look into it. If you can give your name and number to Adolfo Gonzalez, we will look into that, please. And Joe, appreciate your comments. I'm happy that our police department was able to solve that issue. And members of the public, we Sears City Hall staff members do take our job seriously. We're always here to provide the best service that we can. And I appreciate the good comments along with the challenging comments. That's it, Mayor.
Through the mayor. Maybe to clarify Joe's comment.
Let's not speak for Joe.
Okay.
But of course, you can say
Yeah.
whatever you want to say.
Thank you. Just fortunately, I've been dealing with bands all the time for the past 35 years. And the bands that we get, the headliners especially, are very professional and they're recording artists in the music industry across the world. And in their contract, because they want the quality of sound to go out a certain way, they say you cannot video our shows. And if they video our shows, we have the right to stop performing. I totally concur that no resident should be treated unfairly. But for the sake of the concert and the band's livelihood, I guess, and the quality of the music and their whatever, it's in their contract. We have to respect the contract or they stop performing. So there's a way to do that. I don't know what their staff person did. I know professionally what I used to do is say, sir, you get to make a decision. Either we can stop the concert or you can stop filming, because some of these artists are, i.e. Big Brother and the Holy Kingdom, they are national known. They will stop playing if you feel them, because it impacts their right to record their artists and sell their material, especially the headliners. They are very, very serious about it. So that's just for information purposes. Then I apologize, Joe, that staff did whatever.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll go to item number 6, which is a closed session. The city attorney will read us into closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, members of the public. Council will have a closed session on one matter of public employment pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. The position, employee position is the interim city manager. And that's what I have to read in.
Public comment is open on our closed session items.
Members of the public in the chamber, please approach the podium. Members of the public on Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature or dial *9 if you're calling from a phone.
Good evening. Before I say what I have to say, is there going to be an opportunity after you come back from closed session
Yes.
to talk about the same?
I believe it's agendized item to actually do the vote to hire the person, yes.
And then we'll have an opportunity to
Yes.
speak. I'll wait.
Public comment remains open on our closed session item.
Mayor, no members of the public have come forward on Zoom to make public comment on this item.
I thank you so much. We will move into closed session. I don't anticipate this taking that long. And then that should be enough time so we can fix the buzz in the speakers. Thank you so much. Coming out of closed session, the attorney will read us out of closed session and report on any reportable items.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, members of the public. The council met in closed session to discuss a matter of public employment pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. The position is the interim city manager. For the benefit of the public, there is no reportable action coming out of tonight's closed session.
All right, thank you. We'll go to item number 7, which is public agency communications. 7A, City of Seaside news broadcast of upcoming citywide events and community announcements.
Let's dip into this week's edition of Seaside City News, covering the events happening August 1st through the 15th. The Friends of Seaside Parks Association is having a number of workdays all over the city this August. On Saturday the 3rd, from 10 a.m. to noon, FOSPA will be at Mescal Neal Park. On Saturday the 10th, from 10 a.m. to noon, you can join them at Beta Park, and on the 17th, both Highland Otis Park and Martin Park. These dedicated volunteers work hard to keep our parks well maintained and enjoyable for us all. This is your chance to help make Seaside an even cleaner and greener community. On Saturday, August 3rd at 7 p.m., MBFC hosts the Tampa Bay Rowdies at Cardinale Stadium. It's Hometown Heroes Night at the pitch, so come out and help celebrate those who strive to make a positive change in our community. $5 from every ticket purchased in Section N1 will go directly to the Special Olympics Northern California. Use code Special Olympics Northern California when purchasing tickets to ensure your donation goes to this fantastic cause. For questions or to purchase tickets directly, visit MontereyBayFC.com. The Ascent Project has officially been renamed the Seagrove Project. Seagrove Apartments on Broadway Avenue launched its website on July 22nd for interested residents to get added to their waiting list for both market rate and affordable apartments. Visit SeagroveAPTS.com to apply. On Tuesday, August 6th from 4 to 7 p.m., the Seaside Police Department is hosting National Night Out on the City Hall lawn. National Night Out is an annual event which encourages neighbors to engage in stronger relationships with each other and local law enforcement partners in an effort to strengthen our communities. Goals of the National Night Out include heightening crime prevention awareness, building support and participation with crime prevention and eradication programs, and sending out a message that our community is an alliance against crime and criminals. We hope to see you out there. On Saturday, August 17th, Build Up Youth and Seaside Youth Resource Center present their school supply drive. This all-day event will take place at 1136 Wheeler Street and will include food, games, prizes, and more. Help provide essential supplies to students in need and make a positive impact on their education. Thank you so much for your donations. Coastal Paving and Excavating will start the construction of the 2023 pavement rehabilitation project for the City of Seaside the week of August 5th. This construction includes localized pavement-based repairs, pavement overlay, and concrete curb ramps at a number of street segments throughout the city. The project is expected to be complete by January 2025. For more information, including a map of proposed construction sites, visit the construction updates page on the city's website. As we mark Seaside's 70th birthday in October, we want to honor the incredible residents who have been with us from the beginning and have shaped our vibrant community by gathering stories and memories from our longtime residents to include in a special tribute feature. If you or someone you know has lived in Seaside for 50 years or more, we'd love to hear from you. Submit your information to bit.ly/Seaside 50 years. Let's come together to celebrate Seaside's past, present, and future. Your journey has helped shape our city's story, and we can't thank you enough for being part of it. We appreciate you tuning in to Seaside City News, where we work to include, innovate, and inspire. We'll be back with more exciting events to share on August 15th. Until then, be safe, live fully, and enjoy all our city has to offer. Thank you, Seaside.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of the public, and city staff. My name is Melissa Falanga, and I'm with the City of Seaside Human Resources. And I'm here this evening to announce that an RFQ, request for qualifications, has been released for recruitment services for the position of city manager. So we have sent this out to several recruitment firms, as well as posted it on the city website. So you can find the whole RFQ on the main page of the website under the news flash. It is featured there. Also under human resources within the employment opportunities section, you can find it there as well. This is the first phase in the recruitment process. So we're anticipating several positive responses back from qualified firms and consultants that will help us to select and get qualified candidates over to the council so that way we can get the permanent city manager position filled. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the two announcements. We'll go to item number 8, which is presentations. 8A, Monterey County Rape Crisis Center Victims of Domestic Abuse and Educational Services Overview. Assistant City Manager.
Please step forward, give your presentation.
Sorry. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, members of staff and public. My name is Dennis Alexander. I'm the current vice president of the Monterey County Rape Crisis Center. And we're here tonight to just do a little a presentation to let you know what our organization does and what we have been doing now for a little over 50 years in Monterey County, which is mainly provide services for victims of domestic abuse and sexual assault, as well as educational purposes, education within our community. And we're in the midst of just starting a public outreach to as many city councils in the county as we can, and you guys are the first. So I wanted to introduce some staff members here. We've got, first of all, Bianca Hernandez, and she is the Community Engagement Director. And with her is Destiny Garcia, who is a Human Trafficking Outreach Specialist. I just want to say the MCRCC, Monterey County Rape Crisis Center, has been doing a wonderful job over the past 50 years is because of the staff members and the heart they put into it. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce these young ladies, and they're going to do a little presentation for us. Thank you.
Hello, Council. So thank you so much, Dennis, for that introduction. My name is Bianca Hernandez, and I'm here with Monterey County Rape Crisis Center. Before I kind of begin this very short presentation, I want to tell you a little bit about our mission statement. We are a nonprofit that has been here in our community for 50 years. We serve survivors of sexual violence, child abuse, and human trafficking, but we also work in the line of prevention of all of these issues that we have in our county as well. We serve survivors of sexual assault, of course, but we also serve their loved ones. We know that when sexual violence happens, it affects a lot of folks. It affects caregivers, family members, people who live in that same place, right? So we're able to support those people as well. We support children as well who face any type of child abuse. That includes sexual violence, that includes physical abuse, neglect, that also includes witnessing domestic violence within their home, and it also includes witnessing violence within our streets as well. So we're able to support those children. We also serve survivors of human trafficking, which does happen here in Monterey County. Human trafficking, really quickly, right, means forced or coerced labor and or sexual exploitation of minors and adults. So we're able to extend our services to those survivors as well. A little bit about MCRCC and our teams that we have. We are broken down into 4 teams. The first one is our community engagement team, which I am very happy to be a part of. We facilitate presentations regarding our resources in regards to child abuse, human trafficking, and sexual violence, kind of just like how we are here today. We also attend events and share information again about what MCRCC does. We actually will be at National Night Out with the City of Seaside in next week actually already. So we're really excited. But we also extend our presentations on all of these services to businesses, colleges here in our community as well. The next team is the counseling team, and we provide free therapy for children who have experienced any of those child abuse crimes that I just mentioned earlier. We also have free therapy services for adults who have faced sexual violence or human trafficking, or who have a significant other who are connected to any of those type of violence as well. We also don't ask for any type of insurance or documentation. We just want to make sure that our therapy services are accessible to those survivors. Our third team is our crisis intervention team. We support our callers 24/7 in English and in Spanish. If folks have a question, about the reporting process, right, we're able to support them with that. We also do accompaniments to law enforcement agencies. We work very closely with Seaside PD here, and we are able to go ahead and support those survivors. We also support them with court hearings when they have to go file a restraining order, right? We're able to be there and support them emotionally here in our courthouses in Monterey as well. And we offer emotional support, whatever that may look like for them during that time, in regards to those exams that are done as well after a sexual violence has occurred. Our fourth team is our prevention team, right? It's really important to prevent this type of violence, sexual violence, child abuse, and human trafficking in our communities. So we do facilitate presentations for K through 12 schools here in Seaside as well. Now, what I tell the kindergarteners, I'm not going to tell the seniors in high schools. And what I tell the seniors in high schools, I'm not going to tell the kindergarteners. So all of our conversations are age appropriate. And we're really lucky to have a really great connections here in the city of Seaside with schools K through 12. We also have the Our Voice Club here in Monterey County, specifically in the city of Seaside at Seaside High School. We're going to talk a little bit about that in just a second, but we are very lucky to be here. A very quick report of our services that of MCRCC in our last year in 2023, we supported a total of 1,125 survivors and significant others within Monterey County, 7,534 crisis intervention advocacy accompaniments and counseling services. Here for the city of Seaside specifically in 2023, we supported 28 survivors alongside the city of Seaside's police department. So we do have that data. And during the school year of 2022 and 2023, Seaside High School had 8 student members in their Our Voice clubs, which again aims to prevent sexual violence, child abuse, and human trafficking in their community. We're really lucky to have Seaside High School students participate with us. And we hope to continue that next year. If you'd like to stay connected with us and know a little bit more about us, we have some information right here. We're always looking for volunteers to support us with that 24/7 helpline to support those survivors on the line, but also in person. You can follow our newsletter or you can follow us on social media where we stay pretty active, and you'll probably see us posting about being at National Night Out with the city of Seaside next week. That kind of wraps it up for me. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, my colleague Destiny and I and our board member, Dennis, will be here. You can get more information at www.mtryrapecrisis.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions? I'll just say wonderful presentation. What I mean by that is providing the information that you guys are out there, and in these situations, members need to hear it before something happens.
Right.
So you're comfortable knowing that there's help out there. You're comfortable knowing there's people waiting to help you. So I think it was such an important presentation. I really appreciate the board member being here and the staff members being here. So we want to thank Bianca and Destiny and former council member Dennis Alexander.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Going to item number 8. Item number 9, thank you. The consent agenda, 9A, approved minutes from June 26, June 28, July 25th, 2024, which was a special meeting. 9B, adopt a resolution authorizing professional service agreement with RRM Design Group for the final design services and design support during construction for the fire station number 1 kitchen renovation project for amount not to exceed $46,285. C, adopt a resolution approving an update to the city's environmental purchase policy. D, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Carmel Fire Protection Associates for fire protection plan review and alarm system inspection services for amount not to exceed $100,000. E, approve the appointments to the Art and History and Environmental Commissions. That concludes the reading of the consent agenda. Is there any item that anyone on the dais would like to pull off the consent agenda? Is there anybody in the public who would like to pull something off the consent agenda? Bring it back to the dais. What is the will of the council?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I couldn't hear you.
I second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second that we approve the consent agenda. We'll open it up for public comment on adoption of the consent agenda.
Members of the public in the chamber, please approach the podium. Members of the public on Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature or dial *9 if you're calling from a phone. Pat Morgan, you now have the floor to make your public comment.
I just want to thank the council for appointing me to the Environmental Commission. I'm really looking forward to that work. Thank you. Did you hear me?
Thank you for your comments.
Yeah, thank you.
Mayor, no other members of the public have come forward to make public comment.
Thank you. Public comment remains open on our consent agenda items. Seeing no one, hearing no one, public comments closed. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays have the same right. Hearing none, ayes have it, motion carried. Next, we'll go to business item number 10. 10A, consider a draft executive employment contract for interim city manager and make appointment of interim city manager. Who's giving this?
It will be the acting human resources director. She stepped out for a moment.
Okay. We'll just wait a few more seconds. We're not. Do you have any announcements, city clerk? You don't have nothing to stall the time? No, I thank you so much. We'll just regroup by saying this is item number 10A. Consider draft executive employment contract for interim city manager and make appointments of interim city manager.
Good evening, Mayor. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, acting as a city manager, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Go ahead and proceed.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of the public, staff. My name is Samantha Sakrani. I'm the acting HR director, and I'm here to present tonight the draft of the interim city manager. And just to provide just the, which one is it? Thank you. Just a background in regards to the contract. On April 18th, 2024, our police chief Borges was appointed as the acting city manager. And council granted HR department to release the request for proposal on July 25th, which began the recruitment for city manager. And upon the contract approval tonight, Craig Manning will be appointed as the interim city manager, which is a limited part-time position that
within a fiscal year is allowed only to work 960 hours at just an hourly rate. I just want to kind of point out that he is a retired annuitant, and for those who are familiar with CalPERS rules, they have strict guidelines in rehiring annuitants. So there's just strictly hourly rate compensated for his work, no incentives, no benefits, no other type of compensation.
I don't think we heard the last part. You faded out a little bit, so.
Sorry, I'm a little out of breath. It is just strictly an hourly rate of compensation. So it does not include any incentives, any housing, no benefits, nothing other than just the hourly rate. Any questions?
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Just,
Yeah, of course.
I'm not sure I can
Mayor
ask
Pro-
this question,
Mayor
so
Pro Tem.
stop me if I'm inappropriate. Can you explain, for the sake of transparency, the process as far as what you did, what the council did, the application process, just so that way everybody knows, generally speaking, the challenges of, in the process, I guess. Is that easy enough? Yeah. Can you do that if that's okay through the mayor?
Yeah, that's so, as long as we're not violating any
Right.
confidential conversations.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
I'm more than happy to answer your question. So the recruitment process began when council gave us the directive to open a recruitment for an interim city manager. We were aware that would be a part-time position. And so in receiving applications, mainly a lot of the applicants were retired annuitants. We had the recruitment, I believe, open for about 3 weeks, screened applications, selected those passing forward that mostly fit the council's needs and wants in terms of who was going to be the next incumbent for the interim position. And we processed the interview, selected, and here we are today.
So I think you answered it, just to verify. So the applications were given to the council interviewed those that qualified,
Mhm.
decision was made. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay.
Not at this time. It may be some, public comment is open.
Members of the public in the chamber, please approach the podium. Members of the public on Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature or dial *9 if you're calling from a phone.
Hi, Shonda LaBeouf. This is just a comment. Isn't it public record that I have no offense against Mr. Mayland, and I understand he was the previous city manager, but isn't his name on several documents of lawsuits against the city? And isn't this a step backwards and we should be moving forwards? And like she said, there were several candidates. Why did we not move forward with a candidate that could, even though they were retired, we could have moved forward with a different candidate? I understand maybe Mr. Malin's memory with the city and everything, but we could have still moved forward with a different candidate. That's my only concern and problem with this hiring. I've spoken. Thank you.
Good evening, City Council, City Attorney, and the Mayor. I know your decision has already been made regarding the interim city manager, but I do need to say that I need to address some issues. Rumors about Craig Malin being selected were out prior to last week. Apparently, there is a leak within City Hall. The Weekly printed an article, which I have right here, regarding his appointment and even said that they contacted him directly and he confirmed the appointment even before it was voted on today. He should have said to the weekly that he wasn't at liberty to discuss this. Many people knew about this last week, even before it was public knowledge. The Herald also did an article last week regarding his appointment. Why did everyone know it before it was made public? I hope this decision by the council will not come and bite you back in the behind. And to you, Mr. Malin, I hope you know what is good for our city and that you listen to Chief Borges of what he has done in the few months that he had been acting city manager. He has made a great improvement to City Hall and the staff. They love their jobs now, and it reflects on how they deal with the citizens. You are here to do a job, not to recreate the wheel. And hopefully by the first of the year, you will be back in Wisconsin and we will have a new city manager.
Carla Lobo, you now have the floor to make your public comment.
Good evening. Negligence, 5 years previously providing several hostile environment spaces for now staff member to relive that. Works for Village Poignant in the city of Wisconsin. It's not working full time. If anybody didn't realize that, he's not working full time, has full access to work remotely, will not be here to work for the city of Seaside, has cost us millions of dollars mismanagement of our city, lawsuits that he caused within the 5 years that he was here being paid. The money will never be seen in the city of Seaside again, working remotely. Yes, he's not getting benefits through PERS, but look at the contract. Can work remotely from Wisconsin, no traveling expenses, but Section 6 specifically says city agrees to pay job-related and reasonable expenses occurred by Malin. Section 7, we're going to provide a cell phone, a car, a computer to him. Section 8.1, interim city manager duties. The city council will not intervene with the execution of the interim city manager's powers and duties. This person that cost us over $800 in this last lawsuit, that put us in the lawsuit, that compromises us every single time he steps foot into our city. It's not by coincidence that he was here at the beginning of the year visiting. The fact that he already knows he has a job. And mind you, I want to ask HR, when were you directed by this city council to put this out? Because 3 weeks isn't enough time. And if we're already going to give our money away, our hard-earned taxpayer money away to someone that's going to remotely run our city, remotely, meaning he don't have to be here. So anybody that's saying, oh, I hope he knows how to run our city and knows what's going on. No, he doesn't. It's negligence. This is the epitome of negligence, the mismanagement of our money. The fact that we're bringing someone that has sued us is in documentation right now in state and local court for a litigation that we kept getting told coming out of closed session that we are okay. Yet we're bringing him back? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This will be a major, major setback, not only just financially, but also the simple fact that we're still conducting business from the HR department in this mannerism, opening us up for litigation for years to come, setting up the next dais for failure. That is what Malin will do. Fail our city every single time, and he'll do it remotely while getting money and never reinvesting into our community.
Thank you for your comments. The caller ending in 7257, you now have the floor to make your public comment.
Hi, this is Catherine Crockett, a 25-year resident of Seaside. I just want to say that in his 6 years as city manager, Craig Malin served with integrity and transparency. He moved Seaside forward in ways too numerous to mention. However, I will mention a few. He helped build up the city's financial reserves. He dealt with some difficult issues and was successful in reducing crime and homelessness. He initiated the largest investment in streets and parks in the history of our city. And he championed pedestrian safe and bike friendly infrastructure in our city. The fact that he took a cut in salary during the COVID-19 pandemic to help fund community, the community food bank speaks volumes about his character. I could name many more successes that he had as city manager, and I think we're fortunate to have him and his services available to us. I hope the council will approve the agreement to hire him as interim city manager. And I also want to acknowledge and thank Chief Nick Borges for the tremendous job he has done, taking on the role of acting city manager in addition to his duties as police chief. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Members of the public in the chamber, please approach the podium. Members of the public on Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature or dial *9 if you're calling from a phone. Annalisa Mitchell, you now have the floor to make your public comment.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, members on the dais, and members in the chamber. We know in all things, let's do it decently and in order and continue to do it that way. We know that from past records, I've always stood up and said something about the character of Mr. Malin. And so we have to agree to disagree. But the one thing I have to say is that Mr. Malin has the best interest of moving this city forward. All the development that we have going on right now, he is that key person that know about those developments. And I heard that, you know, about the lawsuits and what it's costing the city. But if we don't get these developments done and we at a standstill, then it's still costing the city more money. So we have to meet in the middle somewhere. And if he was willing to come back, and we voted for every council member up there. And so me personally, I trust the judgment of the mayor and the council. And if they feel like he's the best person to continue to move the city forward, then I'm all for it, because his name wouldn't have even been in the interim if they had not have felt that way. It would have been a conflict of interest. And I also would like to thank Chief Borges for the job that he done, and for the job that he continues to do in the city of Seaside. But if we all would agree to disagree, we got to get out of our own self ways and keep our personal opinions to ourselves and allow the city to go forward and trust the council. And even though we all have a voice, but we have to trust the council also. So if Mr. Malin is the pick and he's the one that knows about all the development that we have going on, I actually think he was the one at the table when they all were initiated. I'm not factual on that, so you don't have to fact check it, but I trust the judgment of the council. And if it's going to be Mr. Malin, as long as he get the job done, I'm for it. I yield the rest of my time back.
Thank you for your comments. Mayor, no other members of the public have come forward to make public comment on this item at this time.
Thank you. Public comment remains open.
Mayor, City Council, Acting City Manager. Joe Covich, resident of the City of Seaside. And I find it difficult to get the job done in 3 minutes here at the podium. So kind of like date night. But eliminate the negative, accentuate the positives. Again, quality communication, teamwork. These are all the things that I'm always speaking. So you can't move forward unless you're able to evaluate the past, evaluate the present, look at the two, kind of give you an idea, picture of the future, where you're going. And when you're talking about bringing in a new team member, I really don't have to say much because it was pretty much said today. Mr. Malin has got positives that he's brought to the team. And it sounds like there might be some negatives out there that need to be looked at. But what's positive is the terms, the hours, no commitments, other than the terms that I heard today sounds pretty positive. But what I do want to say, no matter what my personal opinions might be, professionally speaking, I think that it's in the best interest of this city council to cover all liabilities associated with Mr. Maitland's time here. We know that he has a history here, and that history is connected to another city manager in a nearby city, and his wife, who was once an employee here. So I know it's a little close to home, but I think that maybe following what the city of Carmel by the Sea has done, I believe HR Director Jane Miller had to put together a memo when she had a personal relationship with the Harrison Memorial Library Director, Ashley Wright. So maybe you put, the memo together stating that during the term that Mr. Maitland's going to be here, that, he won't do anything that violates the trust of the team that is here to get a job done. And I stress that because of the nature of the complaints and lawsuits that are current and that need to be examined. And I just don't want any more liability on the city. And I just want to ensure that the decisions that are being made are in the best interest of the health, welfare, and long-term stability of the taxpayers, and they're educated decisions. And I'll reiterate what I've already stated to this mayor. I'm a semi-retired professional, and I am available to the city council to provide my services free of charge to fill any capacity until such time you've identified the right candidate for the job. And I live here locally, and I'm more than happy to provide my time and my efforts. I just want to make sure that this team is on the right track and moving in the right direction. Thank you for your time.
Mayor, no other members of the public have come forward to make public comment.
Thank you so much. Public comment remains open. Thank you. Seeing no one else, hearing no one else, public comment is closed. Bringing it back to the dais. What is the will of the council? Or any yeah, of course.
Just a quick.
Yeah, of course. Councilmember Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for all the feedback tonight. After a lot of consideration and hearing from the community on this issue, I have decided that tonight I am abstaining from this vote. Although Mr. Malin has vast experience and knows our projects very well, I'm concerned with him being so far away and the amount of time it would take him to get to Seaside. I also felt the process was rushed into making a decision without little community engagement. For these reasons, I'm abstaining. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask some questions? A couple questions? Just
Yeah, questions?
Yeah, this is for the human, just for clarity. Just a couple. There was a concern about cars, cell phones. I think that's all I have. Isn't it normal or the use of city cars? Isn't it normal for a department head or staff people or city managers to have access to use of city cars and cell phones of the city? Is that normal?
Yes, that is very normal. Nothing that we'll be issuing or that he will have rights to is no different than any of our other staff members. A lot of our employees use our city vehicles for city purposes. A lot of our management, executive, and even clerical staff have laptops to work remotely. A lot of us have cell phones that are city issued. So nothing that will be given to Craig Mallon while he assists us during this limited term, again, who's acquainted with the city of Seaside and won't waste any time getting acquainted, would assist the city. So
Thank you. And you kind of tied into a question by your comment, just again for clarity. And it was a good point. With since COVID, I guess, there has been a greater use of you working remotely, working out of state, working in state, Zoom calls that were never Zoom calls, telecommunication. That is seemingly, from what I've heard, even locally, yet alone from other department heads, that's kind of became the changing of the world since COVID. Is that a fair statement, or?
it's a very fair statement. The reality is we're living in a virtual world, and a lot of people, to have a happy life balance, would like that. And we are in the process of finalizing a hybrid work program policy, which will allow our staff and those that qualify to have that balance.
And just going along with that, I've heard just recently, actually, a lot of departments in other cities, that's
The norm.
a promotional way for them to get the job done, and it's part of a perk to ensure that to bring the best person forward. Is that kind of sort of true?
That is actually very true.
Okay. And then, let's see here. I think that answers my three questions. Thank you so very, very much for all your hard work. This is to get the job done this quickly so our police chief can go back to being police chief was monumental. I know the amount of time you put in, so thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, through the mayor. I just wanted to clarify, Ms. Sakrani referenced a perk by working remotely. That is not what's going on here. That is a common thing that everybody in the city will eventually have some access to under the hybrid work policy. Additionally, I wanted to clarify that the car, phone, and anything else that's a job-related expense, those are not benefits or perks that are above and beyond. And for the benefit of the public, this draft contract was reviewed by the CalPERS organization to ensure that there is nothing in this contract, there is no benefit, there is no anything which would violate their rules and affect Mr. Malin's retirement benefits or have a bad consequence for the city in that regard. So just trying to make sure that's really clear.
That's it. Thank you, Mayor.
I just want to, I guess, get a couple of comments. So we're clear going forward. Someone said something about Mr. Malin's caused the city millions of dollars of loss or millions of dollars in a lawsuit loss. I don't remember us losing $1 million. I don't remember us paying $1 million for anything. So just saying stuff because you may not like a person or you may not like what's happening, you might just want to get closer to the facts. If you get close to the facts, then you'll find yourself having a better argument. But Mr. Malin is not responsible for any of our lawsuits. And the lawsuits that I think people are referencing is a lawsuit that a developer took against the city for a vote the council took. And there was, I don't know, 80 people in this room that thought the council should have voted that way. So I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying, we can't be talking as though we know what we're talking about, but maybe they didn't know because maybe they wasn't in the room. But I was in the room that night and I know why we got sued. We got sued for something the council did. Now, I'm not saying we did anything wrong, but I won't say, because it's not true, that individual, Mr. Malin, caused that. The actions of the council caused that. And again, I will say, everybody from the public thought we made the right decision. So let's not start off by putting him in that box. Um, then someone made a comment about, I think they knew about the process, or they thought they knew about the process, but they said, well, they got close to saying you could have hired the other person that you interviewed because maybe they were retired. I'm trying to figure out how would they know, right? So when we say stuff, we need to just be cautious because that was a confidential information there. Because we have to respect the rights of the people that didn't get chosen. They have a right too. And so, and then I heard, again, I think it was a council member, Miller said somehow the process was rushed. I don't know how many people told me we need to get rid of, not get rid of, but we need to send Police Chief Borges back downstairs. Quit dividing his time. But I don't think we rushed it. But I know people told me, hey, how long the police chief is going to be doing that? So I don't see the rush. But that's each his own, but I'm just pushing back against these comments. But everybody's entitled to their own thoughts. And all right, so those are my quick thoughts. I may have a couple more on the question, if there is a question. So what is the will of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation, and then on the second.
And I'll second.
It's been probably moved to second that consider the draft executive employment contract, the city manager, interim city manager, and make appointment of interim city manager. On the question.
Just my quick thoughts, because I think it's important for us to share our reasoning. First, thank you, Ms. Alcarez, for your work on this. I think you did a very good job. And I concur, I believe, what I heard from the mayor as it relates to, we heard from the public, they wanted our police chief to be the police chief. And there was maximum energy to move this process fairly and appropriately forward, to bring people forward so we can listen, so we adhere to the residents' concerns to the best we could. I think I think it was a normal interview process, and everybody was listened to. My biggest reasoning, to be very honest, is I don't think we have time for a learning curve. When you bring in a city manager or you bring in a staff person, there's always a month, 2 months, 3 months learning curves, and sometimes beyond. We have some significant projects ahead of us, be it the hotel, campus town, the courthouse, finishing up the Accent project, and just the day-to-day stuff. For a person to study that for 2 or 3 months, then we're going backwards rather than forward. We have a person that has had his hands all over those projects and can get us to the next step in order to achieve what we need to achieve, is to provide greater revenue for this city, greater services to this city, and we cannot wait. It has to happen now, or we may lose that opportunity. I think the time is the importance, the learning curve. We cannot reinvent the wheel. The learning curve needs to be done now. And Mr. Malin has those skills, has that knowledge, has moved those projects forward, and has moved countless other projects forward. It's a short window of time, 5-6 months, to do a fair interview process. For the next city manager, full-time city manager, And I just think significant, and he has a history of moving things forward. He has a history of teamwork. And he has a history of uniting this community. And no one ever 100% agrees with anything. It's just not the way it's supposed to be. So everybody has the right to their opinion and their process. But my goal, and I know all our goal up here, is to move Seaside forward, and we can't wait. And the time is now, and we're just right on the edge. I mean, some things are happening in the next few months that are difference makers. And I believe Mr. Kmalin can make that happen, which in turn will benefit this entire community, be it in parks, be it in streets, be it staff time, be it necessary sidewalks, a variety of things that has to be done for this community to get the needs met that they so richly deserve. So those are the reasons for my support of this. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
I just wanna
Councilmember Burks.
Just want to say that I completely agree with Mayor Pro Tem. The process that HR went through was exactly what any process would have gone through. I've done it as a principal. I questioned different parts of the HR process, and we all had the same right to look through all applicants, agree and disagree. And so this was crucial with what we've got Seaside on, like we said, the verge of many big projects, and we want to keep our city going. So I fully agree with the process. Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to thank HR, the whole team, HR director and the rest of the team, the city attorney and all staff that really helped us to go through this process and got the council and the community through this process of having an interim city manager, acting city manager, police chief. I think I just got another one in the mail a couple days ago. I think it's the city of Beaumont. They just named their police chief their acting city manager. So it's very common. And that's like the fourth one I didn't see over these last 4 or 5 months. It's common to do because people have natural affinity and trust in their police chief. And so that's why we did that. But I think maybe it was a week later because 2 weeks later, because people internally felt that they just wanted their police chief to concentrate on managing the police department. And so those citizens have bared with us. It's been 4 months. But that's what they wanted from the start, to get him back as soon as possible. So I don't feel it was rushed. I won't say maybe it was, because the process is the normal process, right? But it was time to move on. It was time to move forward with whoever the person was going to be, part-time interim city manager. And I think we started this conversation 60, 90 days ago about how to get it done and to get us to this point. So I do want to thank HR and the city attorney for her work and the staff, and of course, acting city manager, Police Chief Borges, for all his great work. And we'll thank him properly when he comes back. I think he taken 1 or 2 days off of rest, well-deserved rest. I do want to be clear about one thing before I get into some other points. Is I was mentioning about remote working and all of that stuff. That's not necessarily council's concern. You know, we want people here working every day. And so we are not speaking to what the city manager does with his employees as he sees fit. So I don't want anybody thinking because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. This is a decision by the council that we think we need to make it this time. And that's how we're going to do it, the best that we can. But we're not going to sit up here and tell the city manager that he needs to provide things that he doesn't feel he needs to provide. Because at the end of the day, in a short few months from now, more than likely, if everything goes well, we'll have a permanent city manager. And I won't go into how sooner, but we don't think this is going to last too far into the new year, if at all. But I'm not going to put us in a box. Because anybody that was here a couple years ago know we went out twice for the last city manager. So I just want to put that out there. You know, we're not speaking to what the policy is at his level. We're speaking to our responsibilities. And for us, and for me, you know, I don't even think we didn't even talk about the days that he is here, because someone just went into, hey, he ain't here, he's remote. No, he's here, and it's part-time, like we said, and I forget exactly the hours. I think it averages, just correct me if I say anything wrong, right? If you know, I think the average is like 28 hours, you know, here on ground. And so whether those hours are, you know, actually in this building or in the hotel room or driving around to other meetings or making Zoom calls here, that's close to the part-time hours we were expecting to get. All right. And then I think I know he's on call for a phone call or a Zoom call, and no matter what state he's in. And I think all of us understand that in this day's economy, there's quite a few people are running organizations remotely, right? And so I think his part-time hours here on the ground are substantial and will be enough. I got enough confidence in our staff and the department heads that, you know, if the city manager feels that they're slacking because he's not around, then he has to, you know, he's gonna take care of that. But I appreciate our department heads. And what we didn't want, for me, what I didn't want to do is over a 7-month period, get them 3 permanent city managers that's going to come in 40 hours a week and make all kind of adjustments, right? And so that's me personally, right? That's me personally. I don't want to do that. But when we talk about this individual, Mr. Malin, his vast knowledge and experience of the city's day-to-day operations and practices, I would say is great. You know, I mean, can't nobody question his actual city manager abilities. Can't question that. If you can, I'd like to hear it, right? And so the object is, how do we move the city forward? And for this time frame, he'll be here, he'll get the job done. We believe in that. And then we move forward and, you know, I don't know, 8 months from now, 10 months from now, 12 months from now, when the permanent city manager is on board, up to snuff, people will be saying, you know, they'll forget all about that 6-month period. They'll forget about it. But what we can't do is slow down the many processes and programs we have. It's not just economic development, you know, we got all kind of stuff working and going in this city, and he would be good to do that. Like someone said earlier, hit the ground running. You know, I think he probably knows 80% of the employees, and out of that 80, probably about 45 of them was hired while he was here. That's the first city manager they probably met, right? Not only that, he's well regarded within this community. I don't know how many people I bumped into of high regard that said they look forward to working with them again, you know? And so he's highly regarded, highly respected outside these walls. And so for that and many other reasons, I'm going to support this motion. And it's a lot of work to be done. I'm sure he's more than capable of doing the work, no matter where he's at in the world. We have seen that before, but I won't get into that. You know, when he used to call himself going on vacations, he still answered his phone, still communicating with us, and we look forward to that. And like someone said earlier, you know, we all can't agree, and that's okay. Everybody has their opinion, and I respect everybody's opinion. So on the question, I'll repeat the question. Consider the draft executive employment contract for interim city manager and make appointments of interim city manager. So that's what we'll be doing with this vote, approving his contract and appointing him as interim city manager. Was that your motion? Okay. All those in favor use the correct sign vote, which is aye.
Aye.
Nays have the same right. I abstain. I'm sorry. Abstentions, we have 1. Was that 3? No. 3-0.
One abstention.
Yeah, but he doesn't count. Okay, 3-0-1. The motion passed with 3 affirmative votes and 1 abstention. Thank you. All right, we'll go to item number 10B, adopt a resolution modifying the application procedures and selection criteria for cannabis dispensary. Acting Assistant City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Bazua, Mr. Mayor, council members. This item is a follow-up to an item that we looked at on June 20th. There was a application for a dispensary to open and where an existing one was, and there were several comments brought up by the council during that meeting regarding the number of dispensaries that were located within the city. So just as a little bit of background, the city of Seaside has regulations relating to, the establishment of new dispensaries. The ordinance was last updated in 2021. I did go back and look at some of the older ordinances. Originally in 2017, there were 3 dispensaries allowed. Then that became 6, and then that became what is currently allowed, which is 6 are allowed within the West Broadway Urban Village, and 3 are allowed elsewhere in the city, for a total of 9 are allowed. There are 6 approved dispensaries and 4 currently operating dispensaries within the city of Seaside. And just kind of show real quick on this map, there's within the West Broadway Urban Village, there's Higher Level of Care, Rare Earth, and the recently approved Canna Cruise. That one is not operating. There is Half Pipe over here. Plantasia was operating. It is currently not operating. However, it does have an application in to convert to a micro business, which would include the dispensary as well as adding manufacturing and distribution. And there is also the Reef up here at LaSalle and Fremont. And there's a little bit of a close-up zoom of what it looks like around Broadway with Higher Level, Rare Earth, Canna Cruise, and Half Pipe. So this, what you have in front of you, is the resolution, which you may recall the procedures for approving and considering dispensaries is established by council resolution. The current ones were adopted in January 2022. There's no language in the current processes regarding at what time an application can be received. And so this proposes several minor modifications and one significant modification, which would essentially state that applications would only be accepted during time periods designated by the council. So whereas now someone could come in anytime and submit an application, we would go back to how it used to be, which is the council would essentially have to say, we are accepting cannabis applications for dispensaries, and then we would accept applications and have some sort of competitive process. Making this change would allow for additional time for us to try to take a little bit of a closer look regarding our policies and the number of dispensaries and how we go about approving them, by essentially giving council the option of locking in the current number of dispensaries that we have. Council also could simply open it up whenever they chose and go to the full, up to the full 9 under the current ordinance. That's really the entire presentation. Staff recommends that the city council adopt the resolution modifying the application procedures for dispensaries. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Questions? Mayor Pro Tem.
A few. I saw that we had 9, and I was on the council at that time when we initially started at 3, then we got to 6 because we were trying to make everybody happy, in my perspective, and work to get work together as far as the needs that we saw. And now I see, so when they brought back the ordinance, I assume it went to 9.
Correct.
Okay. So I guess the council could choose not to open up that window.
Correct.
So and knowing that 9 is the magic number, and or just not open it up at all and leave it at 4. Is that a fair statement?
It would be left at there's two that are sort of already moving through and already have what they need. So it could be the existing four plus the two that already have their approvals. But even though 9 would be the maximum under the ordinance, we would not go beyond it unless the council decided to open it up.
So we approved one approximately a month and a half ago to get it to 5. Is that correct?
That got it to 6.
Oh, that got it to 6.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Okay, and that includes Panacea being gone?
That includes Plantasia being operational. Their approval, so they opened and they have closed temporarily. They are planning on reopening and all of their former approvals are still in force. So that's why I'm saying that even though they are not operating right now, they're approved, for lack of a better term.
Panacea is considering will possibly open up again to get to yours.
If they came in tomorrow and said, we're reopening,
So.
okay.
And just to make sure. And if a 7th, if we open, we don't have to necessarily open them up. And if one of the 6 were to fold, went out of business to get it to 5 or to 4, would they automatically be allowed to come in? You know, Johnny's marijuana shop, whatever it be, would we automatically have to accept that, or can we say, no, we don't want that?
You would not. We would, staff would only accept applications if council had directed it to do so. Otherwise, we would simply tell any potential applicants that we are not accepting applications at this time.
So
even if it's going into a previously approved
okay,
location, because they would need a new operating agreement.
right. So if Johnny's marijuana shop, when Panacea goes out of business again, Johnny's marijuana shop, it only opens up if the council chose to open it up.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So it kind of narrows the scope as far as information and based on council's recommendation.
Correct. It gives council a lot more control over the number of dispensaries in the city.
That's what I hear you say. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilmember Miller.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is this the same item? I remember when we had this meeting under council member requests, Councilmember Burks brought an item forward for marijuana dispensaries. Is this the same item?
I believe so. Yes. Yeah.
It is the same item. Because in the past, what I've seen here is a council member makes a request and then it's the council member gives us an explanation of what their wish is. Is that not the case?
So this was a little different because after the meeting with June 20th, where the council approved Canna Cruz, but it was also pretty clear from hearing the council that there were some concerns. And so staff began working on that. Staff had already begun working on it when Councilmember Burke brought it up. And so, or maybe at any rate, the two happen independently of each other. So the only reason that this didn't come on the 25th is I wasn't here.
Okay, thank you for that. And you know, I was hoping that we could hear from Councilmember Burks, if the mayor's okay with that, her idea that, because she brought this forward, because my understanding was that we would look at limiting the total number, not just putting a time when an applicant can come in or not, because then if we do that, applicants might be waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting.
So the total number of dispensaries is specified in the ordinance. So even if we knew that there was consensus, and staff doesn't know that at this time, we knew there was consensus, we would have to draft the ordinance, do a public notice, bring it to council, bring it for a second reading, and then 30 days later it takes effect. This can happen instantly. So this, if nothing else, it lets us hit the pause button while we can figure out the broader issues. And maybe it's not just the number of dispensaries. Maybe there's other items that we want to look at as part of this and, you know, do one more thorough update instead of, you know, just trying to hit the single points. So that's the other advantage of this is it's a pause button.
So if I understand you correctly, we're working towards amending our city code.
Yes, and if council has any feedback or thoughts towards what that should look like, staff would appreciate that.
I understand. I mean, I would be more in favor of looking at the code first and trying to amend the code first, but I understand what you're recommending. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Yeah, I think it was definitely a good presentation. My thoughts is, what I'm trying to do is limit the number that we have. How do we reduce that number? Right, and so that may not be in front of us today, but that's my concern, and I think we all share the same concern. So, but what exactly does this do?
This, I think the pause button is the best analogy, and this can be done very quickly because resolutions take effect immediately.
Well, I want to know
Yeah.
what it does.
So what it does is it says that if no one can come in and submit an application for a cannabis dispensary unless the council beforehand has said that the city is accepting such applications. So if this is adopted, going forward, staff will tell anyone who wants to submit an application for a cannabis dispensary that we are not accepting those.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Protem.
Just one, so, and I think it's a good stopgap, whatever it be. But potentially the council, if a council member or mayor wants to bring forward the idea with 3 votes of limiting the number, I'm making this up, to 7, just because of campus town and, you know, that process would be the ordinance process, but that is doable.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll open up to public comment.
Members of the public in the chamber, please approach the podium. Members of the public on Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature or dial *9 if you're calling from a phone.
Hi, it's me again. First of all, why was this whole matter public? Was the opening of a new shop? Okay. Secondly, I'm going to bring this back. I've lived here since 1979, and Seaside was a city of vice back then. You could just go down Broadway and Fremont, and you can get, hookers and all kinds of stuff. So moving forward, we're going to have 6 marijuana shops for our city of 36,000 people, 36,000 people. That's a lot of, that's 6 shops. That's a lot of marijuana shops for our city. Isn't that a lot? I think we need to narrow it down. We need to enshrine it in a code or something that we're 9 that you guys have approved 9. We currently have 6. 6 is too many currently, and we need to narrow it down. We need no more marijuana shops, and especially there's one, my neighborhood gets a lot of business. It's down from the Boys and Girls Club, which I have a real big problem with. So we also need to review where we're putting them, but we also need to limit the number of marijuana shops in our city, because I don't want to be also known as the city on the bay where you can get all the weed you want. Okay, so that's not moving forward either. So just saying.
Members of the public in the chamber, please approach the podium. Members of the public on Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature or dial *9 if you're calling from a phone.
Good evening. I kind of like, the way that this is going. As the gentleman said, it's like a pause button, so we can be more informative, do our homework, and do what's good for this city. We've been known as Weedside, not Seaside, because we had so many down on Broadway. Now that Monterey's has allowed, I think, 2 in Monterey, and I think Marina has 1. A lot of these people that would come to Seaside are not coming to Seaside anymore. They're going to their own prospective cities, which is good for us, but it's not good for the dispensaries, because now they're having to compete against themselves. So I think doing the pause button right now and looking at the number that we realistically want and moving down to that as these shops close, not allowing somebody else to come in, we'll get to it. It may take some time, but I think not allowing any more to come back in, even though we approved 9, we can deal with our 6 right now, and hopefully they'll find another place to go do business. And we do need to look at, it's our downtown. We don't want to have a family-friendly area and walking past a dispensary every block and a half, and you can smell it. I went to go get Mayo yogurt the other day, and it was reeking of marijuana. Even my 10-year-old knows the smell of it, and she says, "Oh, they're smoking weed next door." So if we want to have our downtown being family friendly, dispensaries are not the thing to put in there. We need to put something that makes people want to come downtown. Those that don't use marijuana, whether medically or for recreation. So that's it.
Mayor, City Council, one more time, Joe Cubbage. I'm not prepared on this issue. However, I just want to speak my opinion. I do recall being here when you approved the Canna Cruise last month, I believe. And I remember at that time stating, my opinions that kind of echoed, excuse me, echoed the woman behind me, before me, in terms of the health, welfare, long-term stability, the impression that it has on our children that might be walking by all these dispensaries. So really what I want to say is this, maybe a pause is appropriate at this time, and maybe Jose and Mr. Malin and others on your team might be able to sit back and re-examine this whole industry. And the Planet C, I think, has a really good business profile in terms of their redevelopment. When they reopen again, the whole under layer of what was formerly the Seaside Sports Center will be a grow facility. And I think that this is an opportunity for the city of Seaside to sit back and take a look at Seaside doing something unique within the cannabis industry that nobody's doing. So for example, the Canna Cruise people, the gentleman mentioned having his distribution set up in Moss Landing. Well, all the cannabis companies are going to Moss Landing. So it's kind of like going to the dollar store, 99-cent store. Everybody's buying the same product at the same store. Then they go back to the corner market and they resell it and distribute it. So if it were me and I was sitting in Jose's position, Mr. Malin's position, I'd probably be sitting back and evaluating what properties that the city owns, large square, footage property where you could target venture capital groups that are coming in to invest in large scale growth of cannabis. And therefore you don't have all these small little mom and pa's Johnny's cannabis shop on every corner impacting the impression, on the community, for lack of words, and then target something that the exponential value, the growth in cannabis in Seaside, because the branding of that, it's like Big Sur, everybody knows the Bixby Bridge. So if Seaside's going to decide on cannabis, maybe we focus on quality rather than quantity, and do an evaluation study to determine what major venture capital groups are out there investing in cannabis, primarily the Southern California region. And looking at their model a little bit, and talking to some of the city managers and other large populous areas, and looking at some of the new models that are moving forward. And I think that this is an opportunity really to reinvent Seaside with cannabis, if in fact this is the decision that you've made. And we all know that from a medical perspective, maybe that's the opportunity. I'm thinking about cancer patients. Delta-9, the active compound in THC, alleviates nausea and vomiting in 12 out of 15 patients. It alleviates intraocular eye pressure in glaucoma patients. It helps people with post-traumatic stress disorder and other ailments. So I think that there is an opportunity here. Thank you for your time.
Carla Lobo, you now have the floor to make your public comment.
So I was a little perplexed on how this is going to impact business owners now, like Canna Santa Cruz. That application was expedited. So with this new revision, red line of this ordinance, will those entities still have the capability to come in and get a new permit for whatever new establishment is going to occupy that space? My first question. My second question is, if this was originally brought up, when to change the number of dispensaries we have in the city of Seaside? And we're not doing that tonight. We're pausing it so that staff can review the ordinance and change the number. When is that going to come back? As it was mentioned that it was combined, but it was only combined to put a pause on it to have more time to evaluate the ordinance and potentially change from 9 to potentially 6 or 7. My last comment is with regards to the narrative that's being portrayed here. Nothing I said was false. It's all documentation on court filings that we lost millions because of Malin, not only through representation because we had to pay for his representation, but that back
I'm
door.
going to ask you to remain on topic.
You can't stop me because I'm not violating anything within the thing. I'm still in the middle.
Pauser. We'll regain your time, but what no one is going to do is when I tell you you're off topic, you need to get back on topic. The topic is the dispensaries. Continue your time.
You had no idea whether I was going to tie that in with the dispensary. So for you to count my time and violate the Brown Act, again, leaving us up for open litigation. Point blank, the backdoor businesses that Malin brought in could potentially put us even higher with the dispensaries. And the fact that we're sitting here trying to change an ordinance and then asking for him to come in, that's the same litigation that we can see in the future within that 5 to 10 month period that you mentioned. Again, violating Brown Act, opening it up for litigation. It's telling of the narrative that's being portrayed here. Not only that, individuals coming in making assumptions on whether I like the individual or not. That's not an assumption. It's plain and factual of the information that's out there publicly that has put us in compromising positions and could potentially do that for the next 10 months or going into the new year, including this particular ordinance, specifically because you came under the premise that we were going to change the number, and that's not what we're doing tonight. So when is this going to be brought again? Let's not change these narratives. We know we've lost millions of dollars, and to sit here and portray that the character of this person is going to be any better in the future, again, it's gross negligence against your own taxpayer money. And those that speak that have no knowledge other than hearsay is also complicit in that gross negligence.
Members of the public on Zoom wishing to make public comment, please use the raise your hand feature or dial *9 if you're calling from a phone. Mayor, no members of the public have come forward to make public comment on this item.
Public comment remains open. Seeing no one else approach the lectors, no hands on Zoom, we'll close public comment. Acting Assistant City Manager and Andy, you guys, any questions, issues, concerns you guys can answer at this time? It was a couple questions related to.
The only question that I recall is whether or not this would affect the existing applications, and the answer to that question is no. What this does is this puts a wall up at the application phase of the process. So anyone who's already passed the application phase is unaffected, but no one else would be able to come in there. And so this does not have any bearing on the approval of Canna Cruz on June 20th. And I'm afraid I don't recall and I would also say that I would agree that this is not necessary. This is not a solution. This is a pause. A solution will take longer, during which time more applications could potentially come in that we're not aware of. This allows us to control that there would be no applications without the council's consent while we work on the full solution, whatever that looks like.
Right, but I think you just said yourself, for us to take this, so call it pause, call it whatever you want. But we're stopping new applications from coming through.
Yep.
Okay, that's, I don't know how where else can you start if you don't do that, right? Okay, any more questions? Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Mark. You said it will not stop the Canna Cruise, but then you also said that at the Plancheria site, there's another application pending.
No, their application, they applied and were approved a while ago, and they operated for a while, and then they have not operated for the last, I forget how long it is, but they are still within the window where they can reopen. And my understanding is that they do plan on reopening. They have submitted a use permit application to add distribution and manufacturing, neither of which has to go through the same process that a dispensary does. So they already have a dispensary and they're adding other uses towards it. Now, if they elected not to reopen, then that approval would lapse and we would not accept another application for that.
So if I understand you correctly, it would be the same applicant that wants to do the cultivation.
It has to be the same applicant.
And the cultivation, if they wanted to do that, does it come before this body?
They have not applied for cultivation, and if they did, I do not believe so. I'd have to double check that. I think it's a planning commission review.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Yeah, I just want to, I think it's a good idea, something I know I've been concerned with, worried about for a while, about how do we get back any of those unused permits? And for those in the public that aren't not clear what I'm saying, what we're trying to get to is these are legal businesses with legal permits. So I don't want to be, as the mayor, I'm not going to talk about how to put them out of business. I'm not going to do that. But if they choose, they'll have to go out of business and the license get turned in, well, then we don't need to issue that license or that permit back out. That's what I'm looking for. And the first step is to stop the possibility of current licenses that are out there that could be picked up tomorrow. Before they get to that counter, pick them up. I want to stop that. So I'm in support of this. What is the will of the council?
Move to approve 10B.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved to approve adopt the resolution modifying the application procedures and selection criteria for cannabis dispensary. On the question.
Just my only thoughts are, I'm for the pause. I think it's a first step. I think that the important word is a first step. I'm hoping in the future we will look at freezing, stopping it at 6 or lowering it after if people go away, or the established Seaside remaining in a certain number and only an additional one on the newer Seaside, whatever it be. But I think we should look at bottom line. I would hope we would look at bottom line of lowering numbers in the future.
Yeah, all that's going to come to forth.
Right.
Everybody wants to be in front of this, right? But the point is, are you supporting this resolution? Anybody else? All right. Okay. All those in favor use the correct sign of vote, which is aye.
Aye.
Nays have the same right. Any abstentions? All right. Motion carries. Let me go back though. Andy, come on back. And I know I mean, it's just a little, kind of like a little formality, but you got enough direction and the city managers he's sitting in the room. You guys got enough direction to go, put our thoughts into actions, correct?
I think it's enough to get you a proposal and we can narrow it down from there. But as far as the number of dispensaries, I think that's loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, that was it. That was great. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was great. Item number 11, new council members requests. Follow up on previous requests. I don't know, Jose, did you have anything to?
Nothing to add, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to item number 12, which is city attorney, city manager, city council, and mayor's comments and reports on committee assignments. We'll go with council member,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
no, I'm sorry, I skipped two people. The city attorney,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing to report.
acting assistant city manager,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing to report.
council member Miller.
Thank you. I have to apologize that I was not able to make our last council meeting. I have been dealing with my mother who recently had cataract surgery, and so I've been home with her. And the AMBAG meeting for July did not take place because they're on break. So I will report my AMBAG meeting in August next, and that was all of my reports tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, council member Burks.
I was able to be at the opening of Seaside cheer and football season where our mayor spoke and gave them some motivational words. Thank you to all the volunteers. There's a lot of kiddos out there and very excited for another fun season. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I attended the Sunday Blues this past weekend, Big Brother and the Holding Company. Plus Blue Mambo, they did a great show, good attendance, attended along with the mayor. I think the venue provides a great opportunity for families and residents in the community to share great thoughts and have lots of fun. This week we have Kay Bowler and Lady Bianca, so we encourage you to participate. Wanted to thank staff for their efforts as well. Attended the Pachetti Dog Park planning session for the Harvest Fest and the dog fashion show. Our animal control officer, Alex, was there and he provides a lot of insight and help. I think the event is scheduled for October 19th. So if you have a dog, get ready to dress them up for the event. Didn't attend the first football practice, but attended the second practice. About 200 kids were out there, not including cheerleaders, and the practice seemed very well organized. It looks like Seaside has really good coaches. Very impressed with the parent participation. They were strong, they were numerous, and they were very supportive of their kids, which is always real good to see. And I went to the farmer's market today and good turnout. A lot of good vendors and had some fruit for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. I just start with that. I think it's the farmer market continues to be a great resource for our families and our guests. And so we encourage all of you that eat fresh fruit and vegetables, come get them at the farmer's market. Every once in a while, they need a boost of energy, they need a boost of cash to keep the people coming back every week. We can't talk about that wonderful thing that we have every Thursday across the street, but we don't go down there and spend some money because they're going to take their carts and their wares to other places. So I encourage you at least once a month or something like that. It's only a couple more months left, right? So once or twice a month, at least go down there to show them our farmers market is sustainable, and we will finish this year strong and come on back next year. And then I guess towards the end of the year, we're looking for those Cal Fresh numbers. So I'll be looking for that. And I went to special water district discussion about the best ways of lifting a CDO. Some of you guys that don't know what that means why Cal-Am and Seaside Muni cannot give you any more water or a hookup or a meter. And it was hosted by Senator Laird's office. So we want to thank him for it. Was about 40 of us came together. I think all the mayors from the peninsula was there and other bigwigs and decision makers. And I think we may have broken some of the ice as it relates to maybe some modification of that cease and desist order as it relates to being able to have Cal-Am provide new hookups or increasing the use of water. Maybe a handful of months away, but we did make good progress. I want to thank Senator Laird for calling us together in that room. Went to the Monterey One Water meeting. Those of you that are on Monterey One Water, you should be receiving some type of communique over the next 1 or 2 weeks here about your bills will go back to, well, won't go back because they never changed. But they were in the process in the middle of changing. Now they're going to stand fast, and you'll receive a letter saying that there's no longer a discussion about your Monterey One water bill being on your property tax. I did attend the Seaside Raiders and cheer first day of practice. Wonderful kids, wonderful kids. Like the Mayor Pro Tem said, at least 200 kids, including the girls that were there. All right, we want to include them at all times. One thing I did say in my so-called motivational speech was that, you know, as the citizens of Seaside, we are very proud of them. We appreciate what they do. They are the future of this community, and we expect them to act like that, and we expect to support them all along the way. They're going to try to set up a meeting with the city manager here to talk about the type of support that Seaside should be giving them. And so I look for that to come soon. But what I left them with was 3 things that the citizens of Seaside want them to do. First of all, have fun, right? That's the easy one, have fun. Get your education. When I said that one, you know, I had a couple people look down at me, right? But the point is, have fun, get your education, and listen to your coaches and your parents. It really was listen to your parents, get your education, and have some fun. And so as adults, we need to make sure that we're looking out for our youth. And I'm glad that the board president and the board of that Seaside Raiders football and cheer are who they are. This is their 20th year for Claudia and Bum Washington. This is their 20th year of volunteering their time year after year, season after season, season after season, year after year. And I think it's important for the city of Seaside to stand with the Raiders as they move forward. Attended a art reception for Jan and William Ziegler at a downtown Monterey art gallery. And some beautiful works down there. So I'm so proud to see William's work on the wall at that art gallery right off of Patola Plaza. Blues in the Park was going good, wonderful, like the Mayor Pro Tem said. It is some things we have to talk about up there about how we're laying some things out, but everybody seems to be having a good time. I want to thank our animal control, Alex, for what he's doing, not only tonight, but it was 2 other people that stopped me and said he's doing a wonderful thing, helping others capture these cats and dogs and spade and neuter. So I want to thank him for that. And then, you know, I met some people that were just so happy about Jackie. I don't know Jackie's last name. I don't know. Talua, right? I want to make sure we get that on the record, Jackie Talua, that, you know, they were very happy that, and they just said all kind of stuff about the professionalism of that department up there. So very impressive because they said they get around to different cities and they see the good, they see the bad. And, you know, the nice things that they said, they didn't have to say because they're already through the process, if that makes sense, right? So it must have been something special going on down there in our planning department. And so we want, Andy left, so we want to thank those that are in charge over there and look oversight of our planning department. That's all I have. Yeah, I think we're going to meet on the 15th, and then we'll have a discussion about upcoming car week, right? But we're gearing up for that. I know staff is gearing up for that. I know the city manager will have a plan with the police chief about how we continue to facilitate our part of the car week. I believe we have 3 of the most anticipated events during car week. May not have the most, but we have 3 of the most anticipated. I don't know why people like the Le Mans, but they love it. You come out here, it's 2,000 or 3,000 people right on the grass. Then we got the Italiano, and then we got Exotics on Broadway. So Seaside is in the mix of car week. And then we always have Porsche too the week before. They get about 600 or 700 people, but they give away little, I won't say, they give away little shots of alcohol. So maybe that might be part of it, little champagne. But I just want the citizens to gear up for it. We want to be warm and inviting to those guests. And we know they come back and they do spend the money in the city of Seaside. All right. Let's go to item number 13, which is closed session. The city attorney will read us in a closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, members of the public. Council will have a conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. Property in question is 705 Broadway Street in Seaside. Agency negotiators are the city manager et al. Negotiating party is Coldwell Banker. Under negotiation, the price, terms of payment, or both. We'll also have a conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. Property in question is the property commonly referred to as the Campus Town property, bounded generally by Highway 1, First Avenue, 7th Avenue, Light Fighter, Colonel Durham, and Giggling Streets. Agency negotiators are the city manager et al. Negotiating parties are KBB, Seaside Venture et al. And the city of Seaside. Under negotiation, price, terms of payment, or both. They will have a conference with legal counsel pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 on one matter of existing litigation. That litigation is Monterey County Superior Court case number 24CV002483. The case name is Landwatch and Center for Biological Diversity versus City of Seaside et al. And finally, they'll have a conference with legal counsel pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D2 on two matters of potential litigation. For the benefit of the public, I don't expect there to be a readout, but there might be. That concludes my read-in.
There could be, I guess. Our public comments open on our closed session item.
Members of the public in the chamber, please approach the podium. Members of the public on Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature or dial *9 if you're calling from a phone. Mayor, no members of the public have come forward to make public comment on closed session items.
Public comment remains open on our closed session items. All right, thank you. We will move into closed session.